All right. I think we are on 1 minute early. Imagine that. It's amazing. Anxiously waiting to join us tonight.
If you're joining us tonight, say hi. Take a minute to say hi in the chat box, comment box, and tell us where you're from so we can see who's joining us.
6:59. I'm sure they're all waiting with bated breath for this moment.
I'm sure. You're 1 minute early.
Yeah, that's all right. We're anxious. We want to do it because we want to go to bed.
You're silly.
Yes, well.
Isn't 7 o'clock a little early for bedtime,
Well,
honey?
no, by the time this is done, then we'll be almost time for bedtime, Hey, somebody's already joined there. My friends are a little late, but your friends are in good shape.
See, that's the way the ball rolls. Tell us where you're watching from tonight. Sign in the comment box because it's nice to see who's with us and what state or what country you're from as you're watching.
From the state of Wisconsin. We loved Wisconsin. We miss Wisconsin. Those were some of the best years in our life and ministry in Wisconsin, Lori. And your parents, we love them to death. You tell them hello for us and give them a big hug for us too.
Yes, we had wonderful ministry there, Wisconsin.
Yes. We're just waiting a couple of minutes because I know some people are just finishing their dinner or watching soap operas or whatever it is that they do at night.
Look, honey, we have our neighbor on, Tammy.
Check her out.
Tammy from right around the corner.
Yeah.
She's a long ways away watching us.
Of course, we could have just come over, but then we couldn't come in. So I guess this is the only way that we can actually talk. So.
And Pennsylvania is with us too. Someone who was at our marriage retreat in Pennsylvania. Welcome. We're glad you're with us, Ruth.
Wow.
We're live streaming from both pages tonight, from my page and from Claudio's page.
That's 3 states already: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. That's awesome.
That's right. So once again, if you're with us tonight, just send us a note in the chat box and tell us where you're from, what state or what country you're listening from, because that's always fun to know.
What country? I think they're all from the United States. So
yeah.
So far,
well, they're from the U.S.
Angela Napier. That name sounds familiar. Gary and I are here. I'm guessing Gary is the husband. I think it is.
Honey.
Oh, that's your cousin.
That's right.
Well, of course. That's why they look familiar. Oh, the future Dr. Eugene Kidney from Texas. We have to behave because, he's a very serious, respectable individual.
Yes, in his doctoral classes now. I know he's being kept busy during this quarantine time.
I think he'd be zoomed out, but still decided to watch us online. I mean, I am humbled to think that he's doing that.
We're glad you're with us, Eugene. It's nice to see you on here, too.
I'm guessing it's blazing hot in Texas already. You know, it's probably, it was almost 80 degrees here today.
We had a lovely day here. You even did some work outside.
I power washed the entrance.
Yes, he did.
The walkway, and then started doing some of the work in the back. But then I had to have a Zoom meeting, so I had to interrupt my power wash. I even did a video of me pulling out my power wash gun.
Yes, you know what? After this, I will post the video of what you did with that power washer.
Of course, I'm wearing shorts and.
You're acting like
my sexy legs.
You're acting like a superhero with that power washer
today.
Zoom,
says Eugene. Zoom.
Yes.
We have so many Zoom meetings nowadays. Someone says that we're in Zoom jail.
I think we are.
I'll be happy when we get out of Zoom jail and resume our normal activities and normal life. And then some people will probably have to go to a psychiatrist to cure them from Zoomalitis or something like that.
We have had a lot of meetings. The past few weeks with pastors, with just online. Today we had a meeting with ministerial spouses.
Yeah, pastors. We did an online meeting. Spouses of pastors. Imagine that. They are special people.
Yeah.
They are very special people.
So we've been very busy too doing that.
Patrick, remind us where you're from.
Put us a note, Patrick, where you're watching from, what state or what country you're from. It's always nice to see. So I see you're
look
on.
Look at that. We're up to 2 million people already watching.
Wow. You're popular.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's not million. I guess it's only 2.
That's Shireen. So,
right.
Yeah, it's nice to see all of you.
Well, listen, let's get started because I know you're anxious to hear our wisdom shared with you. After all, that's why we're here.
Our musings,
Musings or amusings?
Both. Our amusing musings.
Well, we are here at our home studio in the state of Maryland. Our home studio is our home because obviously, as you know, we're confined to our home. Mm-hmm. This is day 100 of the year. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Today is day 100.
Are you counting?
No, it's in one of my apps.
Oh.
And so day 100, and it's about day, I think, like 18 or 19 since we have been sequestered or quarantined here because of the COVID-19 virus. So imagine that we have been together inside the same home for the last 18 days.
And you know what? I haven't been anywhere for 3 weeks, but this lovely man here, he's been doing all the shopping. Yeah. He has been faithfully trying to figure out my grocery list and getting all the groceries so that I didn't have to go out.
There's Diane Maitland from Wisconsin and Chris Urquiza from Ecuador
and Wisconsin are with us.
So we are international in our audience.
Yes, it's nice to have you with us, Chris.
But some people have asked us, how is it that we can manage to be together for those many days and we haven't killed each other or one or the other? And that's one of the reasons, because we're both, believe it or not, we're both introverts. And you might say that I'm not an introvert. Well, you see, an extrovert is someone who gets their energy by being with people. An introvert is someone who gets their energy by being by themselves. And so in that sense, we're both introverts. We work with people, spend time with people, but there comes a time when we just don't want to see people anymore. So the last 18 days, all we've seen is each other, and have been writing our marriage book and have been attending 1.5 million Zoom meetings. Mm-hmm. So we're doing pretty good. We're not desperate to get out like some extroverts who are saying, when will this end? I want to see more people.
I have to be honest and admit to my Facebook friends that it's kind of nice not to have you wake me up at 2:00 in the morning to go get on an airplane.
I miss that though.
You miss singing to me at 2:00 in the morning.
I miss traveling. That's one thing, and we won't be able to travel until at least the end of July. So
it's going to be a while.
It'll be, I hope the folks at Delta don't forget who we are, because they knew us by name.
Yeah, I know. We knew all those folks at the Delta Airlines.
So we're doing fine. We're health-wise, praise God, we're doing well. Tomorrow I have to do my shopping run to the nearest shopping grocery store. I go at 6 a.m. when only old people get up.
Are you old?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind saying that.
Okay.
So I'll be there at 6 when the doors open and there's only a few old fogies there pushing their carts and their canes.
Well, you go for that. I'll be cheering you on.
I don't have
from
a cane.
Here.
I just push the cart, and hopefully we can find some toilet paper. If not, we'll have to keep using the Sears catalog, and we're running out of pages right now.
Stop. I think we better just be moving right along with that comment,
We should. Donna, hello. She's also from Pennsylvania. Well, listen, we got some questions, and so we figure we better answer them. And hopefully the people that ask us those questions are watching this because we will attempt to answer them. And they're very interesting, yes, and they're not easy to answer either, but we're going to dig deep into our bag of wisdom and try to give you some thoughts and ideas anyway.
Yeah. So you ready for the first one?
Go at it.
Okay. Here is the first question that we've received. We are parents of a daughter and a son. They're 3 and 2 years old. Mm-hmm. We're both working at home during this pandemic. I, the husband, so he gives the amount of money that he earns, but he says my wife makes twice as much money as me. Mm. But here's the issue. Because she makes more money, she feels that her work is therefore more important. And therefore, I have to set aside all my duties and try to focus on the children who are now here at home when I'm trying to get my work done too. So I end up doing all of my office work and taking care of the kids at about 3 a.m. And then I have to get back up with the children at 7:30 a.m. because my wife says she has to focus on her work because she makes more money. I am tired and I'm very resentful at this. How do you guys recommend we handle the matter?
Well, I'm looking at how much they make. Oh, my suggestion, man, quit your job and let your wife support you, because evidently she makes a lot of money, so might as well just let her support you.
That's not the right answer.
Well, I mean, it sounds reasonable to me. If she wants you to do all the work, then maybe just simply quit and let her support you. Although, yes, that is not the entire answer.
Because here's the issue. Here's the issue that I have with this question. As husband and wife, you really go down the wrong path, and a very dangerous path, when you start to make comments like, I make more money than you, and so my job is more important than yours. Yeah. That's really a dangerous path to go down to, because reality is, it doesn't matter what you make or what I make if we're both contributing to the welfare of the family, right?
Absolutely. And when anyone feels like they are in control of the money and the other person, because they make less, they're not controlling the finances, it makes it for an unequal relationship. And what we always suggest people do is that they put all their money together into one checking account, one savings account, so that it's not your money and my money, but it's our money.
Right.
And that then you work on a budget together. And when it comes time to paying the bills, you sit down and pay the bills together. That way, again, no one has to feel that the other one is controlling the money, or that one makes more money than the other, or that one spends more money than the other, because you're both aware of what your combined funding is for. And then, of course, you make plans together. You have your money and you make plans to spend it how you want to spend it.
And it's very belittling to say, my job is more important because I make more money. What you do doesn't really matter. That's very belittling, because it doesn't matter if one of the parents, if they're a stay home mom or a stay home dad, that is to be valued. And that is to be valued just as much as the spouse who may go out and bring home a paycheck. Well, if you're a stay-at-home mom and dad, you may not bring home a paycheck, but you are really contributing to the welfare of your family and raising those kids.
In this case, they're both stay-at-home parents, obviously. And that's one of the interesting things that is happening today, that we're all at home.
Yeah.
We're both working. We're both making money. So you can't really say, well, I make more money, therefore you ignore your job. Yours is not as important. So one of the things that you probably need to do is to set a schedule where you spend some time, you as the man, as the husband, as the father, spend some time with your children and doing some of the things around the house. And then your wife takes some time to do the same. And then some time where you don't do any work, you just spend time as a family. I mean, that would be the thing to do, the best thing to do. So instead of just saying, you do everything and I dedicate my life to work, imagine if it were the opposite, and instead take time for your responsibilities as a husband and father, and then your responsibilities at work, or vice versa, and then you as a mother and wife, and also for work, and then no work, only family.
Because also what's happening in this scenario, it's not only a marriage issue, but it's also a parenting issue. Because those children, 3 and 2 years old, are not seeing mom, because mom thinks her job is more important. So it's dad's job. He's got to take care of the kids all the time. So in this scenario, those kids aren't having the benefit and the blessing that they could receive of both mom and dad.
Yep. Last night we had a special guest on a Zoom meeting with our family ministries director. Her name is Shanti Felden. And she's a journalist. She's a researcher. She's an author. of many very good books. If you Google her name, Shanti is
Aunti.
Um, she has many good books on marriage. She's got books for men, because she and her husband write and speak together. Books for men only, for women only, for teens only. And the latest book that she wrote has to do with finances, and it is Loving in, what was it? No, Finances in Love and
Thriving in Love and Money.
Love and Money. There you go.
And we can put the link in the comment sections when we're finished.
Thriving in Love and Money.
Mm-hmm.
And she has very interesting insights as to why money contributes to a lot of the problems in marriage, and how to make sure that they don't contribute to the problems, but rather that we use money as a solution to the problems.
Yep.
Hello, Melvin Preston from Carolina. And Dolly Wells Wells Napier, I think, is the
from New York.
Name from New York.
New York.
That's another Napier. I think they're related
New York,
to
Pennsylvania, and
Ecuador.
Ecuador, and quite a few. It's nice to see you all on here with us tonight.
Yes.
So, are we ready for the second question?
I don't know. Did we kill this couple badly enough?
I don't know. I think the bottom line in that first question is value each other. Value what you bring to the family. And you should never say, what I bring to this family is more important than what you do, and equate that with the dollar sign as far as what your paycheck is.
Really, she's devaluing him as a man, and as a father, as a provider, as a husband. So it doesn't help their relationship to do that.
No. Okay, second question that we have. I am a single dad. My marriage ended 5 years ago. I recently begun dating. My oldest child, 22 years old, is very excited for me. But my youngest, 19 years old, is very resentful of the new relationship. My attempts to appease the younger child of 19 years old is now straining my new courtship. Any advice?
In fact, speaking about Shanti did a research that showed, well, maybe I should put it this way. How many of you have heard that the divorce in America, the rate of divorce in America is about 50%? Raise your hands. Well, I can't see your hand, but I imagine you're raising your hand.
Oh, they could comment.
Yeah. We probably have heard that in many places. Maybe we have even repeated that. Maybe we have said that that the divorce, the rate of divorce in America is 50%. Now think about that. For some people, that means that 1 out of 2 couples end up divorced. Some might say that 50% of the couples get a divorce. Either way you picture it, is not really a pretty picture.
Nope.
What's interesting, and this is what Shanti found in her research, is that is false. It has never been the case. In fact, the highest rate of divorce in America, or the highest percentage ever, has been only about 38%, 38%. Now think about that. What that means is that your chances of success are upward of 64% or so. And actually, if you account for those who have lost their spouse, not to divorce, but rather to death, the number of people who are still married is like 81, 82%. And so we have been hearing wrong information about the divorce rate, and we have been sometimes telling the wrong information about the divorce rate. So that's one of the things that we want to make sure that you know, that the rate of divorce in America has never been 50%, and is more like 37, 38%, which is still high. I wish that it wouldn't happen, but it's a lot lower than 50%. And in fact, did I say 37%? I'm sorry, let me correct myself, 27%. Not 37, but 27%.
Right.
And what's interesting is that the rate of divorce in the church is about the same, because sometimes we hear that it's actually higher in the Christian church than outside, and it's not. It's about the same, about 27, 28%. Now, talking about this couple, We don't even know if they were divorced. He just says that his marriage ended.
Right. He just said the question only says my marriage ended. We don't know if it was through death, if it was through divorce, or what the situation was.
We're going to read into it that it was a separation or divorce, because I think if it had ended by death, he probably would have said my wife died or something like that. So we're going to assume that the marriage ended because they separated and got a divorce. So therefore the kids already suffered the abandonment, the separation from the parents, which creates a lot of anxiety in kids. And by the way, divorce affects children whether they are little ones or even if they are adults. So it always affects the children. And children of divorce are the most disadvantaged in every way. Doesn't mean that they're bad, doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them, but they are disadvantaged. They suffer financially, psychologically, educationally. I mean, in every way they suffer. So you have a 19-year-old, the 23 is already it is an adult, and probably on his own, maybe college or who knows what. The 19 is still a teenager, still an adult in the making, and having already experienced the loss of a home, now he's thinking, I'm going to lose my other parent. That has to be very unsettling and very troubling for that young man. So one of the things you have to decide is whether your main concern right now is to continue to raise your child until he is completely out and on his own, which would be another few years, or whether it's time for you to take care of your personal needs and desires and let the kid suffer or adapt or do whatever he needs to. So it's a decision that you have to make. We think that as long as they are young enough and you can spend time with your kids, try to devote the time and attention to them. But there will come a time when you can indeed make that decision and say, I want to move on and marry someone. And hopefully by then, your son will be more agreeable to it. But even then, go at it very slowly. One of our favorite authors, his name is Ron Deal. He wrote the book, The Smart Step Family. And so I would encourage you, before you even make the relationship go any further, that you read that book about what your child is going through and what he or they will go through once the marriage actually takes place, if that's the direction that you go in.
Right. That book is great for blended families, or if you're thinking of becoming a blended family, that book is really great. The Smart Step Family
by Ron
Deal. And 19 and 22 years old. So even with the young one, it won't be very long before they're out on their own if they're not already. So now is a good time to start having some of those conversations, maybe for both of you to read that book and really get some resources and to try to equip you to dealing with merging of two families if you are at the point where you're thinking about marrying this person.
If you're into a blended family, it's not as easy, or doesn't look as easy as the Brady Bunch.
That's right.
The Brady Bunch was the perfect blended family, and that's because it was made for TV. But in real life, blended families, or step families really is what we would rather refer to, have a very challenging time. In fact, Ron Deal says that it takes about 7 years before a blended family or step family actually begins to feel like a family unit. So 7 years, and that's why many step families, after 2 or 3 years, they just give up because they don't seem to be able to manage the different dynamics, dealing with new spouses and new grandparents and new children or stepchildren. It's very confusing for everybody. So it takes about 7 years before they actually begin to function and feel like a family unit.
And also in this situation, and like you say, sometimes we think that divorce or the breakup of a home only affects young children. And this question actually proves our point that the breakup of a home affects your children no matter how young or how old they are. And we do need to consider that and really take time to spend with, in this case, this young adult who's 19 years old, and assure him or her of your love for them, your unconditional love, and that no one can ever take their place in your heart.
Luis Camino from Minnesota is asking for the name of the book for step families. It's called The Smart Step Family by Ron Deal, Deal, The Smart Step Family. And there's Connie Hall from Nevada and Jackie Napier, another Napier. The whole Napier family's here. No wonder we have so many people.
This is a family reunion, honey.
This is a large family, and so they're all gathered to listen to us.
I'm sure they're laughing at you making that statement right now. No, notice part of the family is on my Facebook page, and part of the family is on your Facebook page. So,
all right, well, welcome.
Well, we're glad you're with us. Okay. So I think we've answered that one and given that great resource. There's no better book than Ron Deal's book. That's the best resource.
Yeah.
Third question.
Wow.
Here's number 3. We have been married for 28 years. The last 8 to 10 years have been unsatisfying. But we agreed to remain together until our last child went to college. He graduates and will go to college this year. But we now have been reconnected since this quarantine, and I, the husband, no longer wants to end the marriage. But my wife said she still intends to file for divorce as soon as this quarantine is over. She says that while she has enjoyed our time together, it cannot make up for 8 to 10 years of relational gap in a few short weeks. That's a packed question.
We had a similar question last time we were live. Remember that the lady that said, I have to be quarantined with a husband that I had intended to divorce.
Yes.
And we said, hey, praise God that now you have this opportunity, you have the time to spend it together, to get reacquainted and to see how you can make your relationship better.
That's right.
It just saddens me actually when I hear this, because imagine this young man graduating from high school and heading out to college, and the graduation gift that he will receive is his parents' divorce papers.
That's true.
What kind of a gift is that you want to give your child?
And we just talked about how divorce or the breakup of a home affects your child no matter how old they are.
Yes.
And so while we commend this couple for staying together for 8 to 10 years, and it's still going to affect your child. Don't think because he's going to college now, going out the door and going to college, that he will be okay with this.
And this happens very often with couples that have kids, and they focus their attention so much on the kids that when the kids move on, they really don't have anything in common. Yeah. The emptiness syndrome of sorts. In this case, they just simply have not taken care of themselves as a couple. They have not been intentional about building and strengthening their relationship. But now they're actually planning on splitting up once the last bird leaves the nest. Well, again, why not before that happens say, yes, we are maybe not exactly happy or excited, but we have been able to live together all these years. Yeah. Maybe there are things in common that we do have that keeps us together much more than the children. So let's build on those to have a strong relationship. Interestingly enough, when couples divorce, that's not the end of their relationship. One of you or both of you may go on to marry somebody else, and you think you're doing okay, but again, the blended family whole thing comes into play. But also remember that you will see your spouse for the rest of their life and your life, because your kids will one day graduate and you will go to graduation. Yes. They will get married and you will go to the wedding. They will have grandchildren or children and you will go visit the grandchildren and you'll see each other. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be meeting one another for the rest of your lives, why not do it together as a couple? Something that you give your children as a gift, your grandchildren as a gift, instead of giving them the divorce papers and a broken relationship and a broken home, a broken history, really, because the history of that family stops there and branches out into other areas that are not really this family
And,
unit.
and you know what else, honey? There is something very positive that's contained in this question here, because research tells us that the one thing that keeps couples together who are having a difficult time is hope. And the husband writes, I no longer want to end the marriage.
Yeah.
You know, this quarantine time he's really had an opportunity, maybe we could say a forced opportunity, but an opportunity nonetheless during this quarantine time to stop and just kind of take an inventory of what's really important to me. And so the husband is saying, I don't want to get a divorce. So, you know, I would just like to speak to this husband and say, hang on to that hope. Make sure you verbalize this, though, to your wife. You know, I don't know. Have you sat down and told her about what this time together has meant to you? About, you know, what you have realized now about what you truly value and what's truly important. Really take the time to have some of these very important conversations together. Don't just assume she knows, but we need to really sit down and be intentional about talking to each other about how we're feeling.
There's a researcher by the name of Linda Waite, W-A-I-T-E. And she found out in her research that some couples that were on the verge of divorce, but chose to stay together, within 5 years, they reported having a better marriage than before they considered a divorce. What that is to say, some people give up on their marriage way too soon. If they could only continue and work on it, don't you just ignore it or take it for granted, but if you say, let's make some changes, let's see what we can do to make this thing work. Within 5 years, those couples that were on the verge actually said, hey, we're doing better. We're actually happy. We're doing well as a couple. So for a couple like this, again, I would say, take advantage of the quarantine to get reacquainted. Look at the things you have in common that you enjoy doing. Begin dating each other again. I mean, you have the opportunity to do it at home because you got no place else to go.
That's right.
Go for a walk together and talk about the things that brought you together, the places where you have been, the history that you have together.
Hide little handwritten notes around the house.
Yes.
For her to find, you know.
Bring your wife a roll of toilet paper. I mean, that's gotta really, she's gotta feel like, this guy loves me. I mean, right now, that's the commodity. You bring her roses and she'll say, I don't need roses, but I need toilet paper, you know?
But, honey, I don't know if a toilet paper really says, I love you.
It would say to me, if I'm in the bathroom and don't have any.
Okay, I will bring you a roll of toilet paper, you know.
And you know what I do at the end? I have to draw pictures.
I know. He does artwork out of our empty rolls.
Hey, hello, Mark Francis from the Philippines. Glad that you're with us. Boy, on the other side of the world, it's got to be early in the morning there in the Philippines. That's awesome.
Glad you're with us.
Yes.
Okay, honey. The next time I want to do something romantic for you, I'll give you a roll of toilet paper.
No, fix me something to eat. That's what.
No, you just said good. Toilet paper was romantic. So.
No. I like to eat because in our large Napier family, we all love to eat.
Yes. We do. We do love food.
Yeah, we do love food. That's
and
for sure.
And you know what? I really have been enjoying baking some new things for you, because we travel so much. We don't get homemade meals.
Nope.
But for the past 3 weeks, we've had a lot of homemade meals.
You know what we've been doing? We've been cleaning the pantry and the refrigerator.
Yes, we have. It's true.
So we've been eating things that have been there for a while, and discovering some things actually. Yeah. Oh, hey, we haven't eaten that in a while. So that's a good way to clean the pantry and the freezer.
Pinterest really helps me with my recipes. And honey, somebody just commented that they like your toilet paper roll art.
Yes, I am the Picasso of toilet paper rolls.
Well, you know, I have a whole collection upstairs. I have all the rows of toilet paper that he has decorated, that he has created things out of. And because, you know, I can't throw them away. You put too much work into them.
Not really. I mean, it's work, but it's not like it's a natural gift that I have, so it doesn't take very long.
They were a gift to me.
Oh
So
yeah, sure.
a love gift from you. I'm strange. I mean, he gives
You rather
strange.
have that than flowers too.
He gives strange romantic gifts.
Although I
That's
did
his
give
idea of a
I did
romance.
give you a flower for Valentine's, so.
You did?
Yeah,
Yes,
remember I put it on a
I
vase,
know.
a pound of all-purpose flour.
Pillsbury all-purpose flour. He put on top of a flower vase, and right here on the counter where we're sitting now, it was on the counter when I came down the stairs in the morning. That was my Valentine's gift.
Mm-hmm.
Flour.
I mean, I thought that was your favorite.
Pillsbury flour. It was very romantic, honey.
Pamela, what speaks love?
What speaks love to you? Okay, Tawny wants to know what.
I know it.
What do I like? What do I really like? Not toilet paper. Not, okay, what is it, honey?
Chocolate. Yeah. Any kind of chocolate except white chocolate or dark chocolate.
Just plain milk chocolate. Just
plain
chocolates. Hershey chocolate. Chocolate kisses.
Give her a choice. A dozen roses or a box of chocolates. She'll take the chocolates any day.
Yeah. Roses die. Especially when you travel a lot. I mean, we're not traveling now, but typically we do. And so, yeah, flowers die, but chocolate, I can put in my suitcase when we travel. Yep. So I like chocolate, Tawny. Okay. And we have one more question for tonight. It says, my teenager's attitude and behavior has gotten worse during quarantine. Being locked in this house 24/7 without him seeing his peers is driving us both insane. Help. The question ends with help. Yes, I can only imagine because, especially we're talking about teenagers here. So for teenagers, their peer group is very important to them. Mm-hmm. So being isolated from that peer group, well, that's a tragedy to them almost. So it is difficult.
There's no big consolation, obviously, but at least it's not just him, or I guess it is a boy, a teenager. Doesn't say, right?
No, it says him. It says his peers.
But at least it's not like he is the only one that's quarantined. That's awful true. If you're told all your friends are out there playing basketball and going to school and doing all the things that teenagers do, but you have to stay here. That would be really challenging.
Yeah, it's not like he's being punished. Because of a bad behavior and he's grounded.
But the reality is everybody is.
Yeah, we're all grounded.
My guess is that his friends are probably all feeling the same way. Unless they're introverts. Again, introverts are saying, I don't know what the problem is. I'm enjoying this thing anyways. But if he's a teenager that enjoys being with other kids, it's got to be very, very difficult. I'm guessing, because it's happening pretty much everywhere, that he's having to go to school online, so at least he can see his friends there in the little boxes on the screen. If it's another Zoom meeting, at least they can see each other face to face. They can do FaceTime. They can Skype. They can use electronic.
In fact, someone just commented while you're saying that. Somebody just commented, "Thank goodness for FaceTime."
Yes.
My daughter talks and sees her cousins and friends every day. Yeah. That's right.
Yes. Again, some of us are tired of Zoom and all the electronic things that we have to do, but it has been very good. We have been able to connect with a lot of people. I mean, look at this. People from the Philippines, from Minnesota, from Ecuador, from Nevada. It's just been wonderful to at least connect that way. Imagine, and this is to put it in perspective, imagine if you were living in 1944 or 43. And I have in mind a specific young person. Her name was Anne Frank. She was a Jewish girl. You probably know the diary of Anne Frank, and she and her family were in the attic of this building. We have been there in the Netherlands to the apartment or the house where Anne Frank and her family were hidden for a year and almost 2 years. Just think about that for a moment. We can go outside. We can go to the front of the house. We can walk up the street or down the street. We can go to the backyard. They were in the attic for 2 years. Could not leave that attic for 2 years. And here's a teenager wanting to have friends, wanting to have a relationship, wanted to breathe fresh air, wanted to see the sunshine, not through the window, but outside in real life, and yet she couldn't. When we put it in perspective, a month or 2 months that we may have to be inside a house is not too bad. And again, at least we have the freedom to go out. We don't have to be afraid that if we go out, we're going to be captured and taken to a concentration camp.
And maybe that's, that's a good idea, honey, what you just suggested. Maybe that's a good thing to do for family worships, especially if you have teenagers, or if you have children who are struggling with not going out. Maybe it's good. Maybe we could read the book. The Corrie ten Boom is another great book of the hiding place of how Jews were hid in the Ten Boom home. That's a great book. Anne Frank, and there are others. You can find many others to just spend some time talking about that and studying history and thinking about they wrote diaries. And so we know Anne Frank's diary. So why don't we maybe we should start the tradition in our homes, where we have a time, everyone in the family writes a little diary about what are they feeling. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel isolated. That's all a part of this. But sometimes just writing that, it really helps us to put that down in writing.
I have
a diary. You do, baby?
Yeah, I have it. Well, it's not in written form because I couldn't write it. I couldn't read it, I should say. My handwriting is horrible. But it's an app called Loving You, and every day I can put in a few words. It doesn't have to be very long. It's called Loving You. I'm going to put it on my screen first so you can see it. It's Loving You, and if you look below it, it's got 41, 10, and 11.
I'll show you all on my page.
That's how many years or how long we've been together. 41 years, 10 months, and 11 days. See, that's the app is called Loving You. And again, that's how long we've been married. Let me straighten it out. The other way. And see, every one of those things there at the bottom are days of the week that I have written on. And I can go back to about 2.5 years that I've been doing that. So you can download it. It's free. And you can write your experience every day, your experience during the quarantine. And then maybe at the end of each week, you can compare notes and see what you have learned individually and what you can learn together. Here's something that I thought that this family could do too. Maybe you can redecorate his room in a style of his liking. Maybe you can help him you can ask him to help you pick the paint and make it a family project, or maybe just a dad-son project or something like that. Take the furniture out, give it a good coat of paint. What else does he want on it? Or simply move the furniture if that's, just to make it different. Not only spending time together, but making it different for him. One of the things that we have learned is that when you do things in a certain routine, it gets a little depressing, a little tiresome. So if you change the routine a little bit, if you move the furniture a little bit, it automatically changes your outlook. And so that may be one of those things that you can do. But again, when it comes to the quarantine, we're told to stay home. It doesn't mean that we can't leave the house.
Right.
You can go out on the street. You just have to maintain that physical distance. We talked about this last time. The word social distance, in a way, is an unfortunate choice in that it almost sounds like we don't want to have any kind of social interaction, but that's what we need.
It's not social distancing. We said last week, don't use that term. Let's call it physical distancing, but let's maintain our social contacts. And the one other thing I want to say for this child is this teenager is, if you can imagine, if the teenager is doing nothing but schoolwork all day long and just sitting by himself, well, hey, I'd be bored too. So let's take some ownership as parents. And like you said, do some projects together. Do fun family activities. If mom's at her computer working all day from home, dad's working all day from home, the kids, doing schoolwork all day, I have to tell you, that's pretty boring family life. You have to do projects.
It's kind of our life, isn't it?
Yeah.
All we do is write and Zoom and write.
Yeah, that is kind of. But you
and
have
eat, because we are a large family.
But we cook together.
Yeah.
We cook together. That's fun. So try some new recipes together as a family. Find a new game, a new board game or something.
Apple strudel you made me yesterday.
Yes, I made apple strudel for you.
Pinterest.
Yeah. Pinterest is my best friend these days.
So maintain those activities as a family, interact as a family, try to have fun as a family, build memories for the family. That's the most important thing that we keep saying. Build good memories as a family, so that as your family looks back at this time, they won't think of it as the worst time they ever had, but rather as some of the best time they had. We have even heard of preachers' kids, we call them PKs, pastors' kids, who are so happy with the quarantine because they're saying, we're actually having family time over the weekend on Sabbath.
My mom or dad's home now.
The pastors are working and visiting and all that, and they're busy in church work, and sometimes they don't spend enough time with their kids. And now the kids are saying, man, we're loving this quarantine. We're spending good quality time as a family.
That's right. So let's make it, we said last week, 10 years from now, when our kids are grown up and they look back at the year 2020, let's have them look back at this time of quarantine as fun family time, of all the memories they created. Hey, do you remember when we did this or we did that? And let's think of what we can do to build those memories and those fun things that they can look back on, instead of, looking at this as a time of dread.
Last night when we talked to Shanti, she was telling us about one of her newest projects. It's called the 30 Days of Kindness. And it's not just for families, it's not just for couples, it's also for young people, for teenagers. And so you might want to look into that. You can Google it, 30 Days of Kindness. She's got a book with it, but you don't have to buy the book. But at least follow the project. It's for 30 days. Think of something that you can do. Sometimes what happens when we're in a quarantine like this, we're too self-centered. We're so concerned about us. We don't want to get sick. We don't want to go out. We. Sounds weird. It's kind of like French. We. Anyways. But what we do with the 30 Days of Kindness is look outside of ourselves and see how we can be kind to one another, kind to our parents, kind to our children, kind to other people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
kind to a neighbor.
Who's really isolated nowadays? Those who are at greatest danger, and those are the old folks in the nursing homes. So is there a way maybe to contact the nursing home and say, hey, is there a way that I can talk to someone on the phone?
Through I've seen some incredible things that people are doing through the windows of nursing homes, because they're cut off from the world right now. They really are.
Sometimes they don't see family. Well, before they didn't see sometimes family or friends. Now they don't see anybody other than the personnel that works there. So again, find a way to get your teenager involved in some project that doesn't necessarily involve physical contact with other individuals.
And there's so many things you can do. You could cut a neighbor's grass without and still maintain that social distancing. You can bake cookies and go put it on their doorstep and ring the doorbell with a card, and then just walk away. But
we've seen
so many things.
We've seen neighbors living in apartment complexes where they all sit at each door. And so they're like 10, 20 feet away from each other, but they're having a conversation. What about just stepping outside of the house and yelling at the neighbors, or call the neighbor and say, hey, you stay there, I'm here, but let's have a good conversation. And the kids can do the same thing. You don't have to just do it on a phone or over the computer. You can shout across the street, and people may think you're crazy, but we're all crazy nowadays.
We saw that today. We were upstairs in Claudio's office working, and all of a sudden we heard a lot of noise out in the street. And I looked out the window, and this one woman was walking on this side of the street, and her friend was walking on the other sidewalk, the other side of the
two
street.
ladies,
Two women
yelling at each other.
Two women, and they were talking to each other, yelling at each other across the street. But it did kind of make me chuckle, because obviously these were two women who exercised together every morning probably. And now that the quarantine happened, they didn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And so here they are socializing across the road on separate sidewalks. It was kind of fun to see this.
We saw videos in Italy where people were singing from the balconies, and the whole neighborhood was basically singing. I thought, we could do that. We could just step outside and sing something like "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy" or something like that.
No, don't go out there and sing that country song, please.
Well, I don't like country music, so I probably wouldn't. So
I do, but don't sing that song.
Although I would like to one day learn to sing my favorite country song. It's called, well, I don't know what the name is, but it says, "If your nose was full of money, if my nose was full of money, I'll blow it all on you." But it's not. It's a beautiful song.
Stop.
It's a beautiful
No,
song.
but okay, Ruth, look what Ruth just wrote. Ruth wrote, "Our neighbor brought us a loaf of pumpkin cranberry bread on our porch." That's a lovely thing to do.
Yes.
How kind to just bring your neighbor
cranberry bread.
You would love that.
Oh yeah, I love cranberries.
You love cranberries.
Ruth, would you mind sending us some over here? I don't think that I've ever had pumpkin cranberry bread, but that sounds delicious.
Yeah,
hey,
you would
Tammy,
love that.
I don't know where Ruth lives, but Tammy, why don't you bake us some? Because I know you live not far from here. No, never mind.
Oh, well.
Well, you want to share these 5 ideas?
Well, just 5 quick ideas we want to leave you with before we close our time together. And these are 5 ways that you can really grow together as a family and support each other during this challenging time of quarantine. First of all, listen. Listen to each other. It's so much easier to say, "Not now, I've got to finish this job for work," when our kids are trying to talk to us. And it only takes a minute. Sometimes, if we feel them pulling at our blouse or something, they just want to say, "Look, Mommy, look what I've done." It only takes a moment to acknowledge them. So let's do a better job of listening to each other as family members during this time.
One that sometimes we don't practice for whatever reason is cutting each other some slack. Yes, we're all stressed. Yes, we're all tired. Yes, we're all worried. All those things we know. But because of that, we need to cut each other some slack. Just put yourself in their shoes too. We all have different experiences. And so I may be stressed in one way that's different than Pam is stressed. For instance, she's very worried about even going out. So that's why I said I'll sacrifice myself and go out to the hunt.
To the grocery hunt.
And go get some bananas and some donuts so that it'll be a balanced meal.
It's true. It's true. Well, I told you at the beginning of this that he's doing all the grocery shopping, but he did go the other day. He went out and he came home and he tried to convince me that he had gotten essential items, and the essential item was a box of donuts.
We go to a place called Shoppers. It's a store not far from here, and they had these donuts. My word, each one is like 10 pounds. I mean, they're like that big.
They are good, though.
It's that we call them the mother of all donuts. So I only got half a dozen, but half a dozen of theirs is like 3 dozen of Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, they're that big.
They're
so
big.
I figure if I'll get 6 bananas and 6 donuts, that's a balanced meal right there.
So number 1 was listen. And number 2 that you just talked about was?
Cut each other some slack.
And number 3, be flexible. We have to be flexible during this time. We're all doing things different. And especially for our kids, it's their whole routine. Kids love routine. Kids love schedule. Sometimes as adults, we don't like doing it the same way every day, day after day, but kids do, especially if they're young. They need that schedule. They need those routines. And this has been very difficult for a young child. So we need to be flexible with them.
Hey, hello, Debbie from Singapore. So glad that you're joining us. And we know that you guys are also dealing with this virus and it's hitting you kind of like a second time around. So we're thinking about you. And Sherry, donuts are definitely essential.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry, for supporting me.
Sherry, you're not helping me. She's my cousin. You're not helping me much. Convince this man that donuts really were not essential.
Sherry's my buddy.
Okay. All right. So number 1, listen. Number 2, cut each other some slack. Number 3, be flexible. Number 4,
something I'm not sure I can do. I'm not good at it, but make each other laugh.
You're good at that one, honey.
I am?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you just have to laugh to keep you from crying. There are so many things that you can do to laugh. I know some people like some comedy today. We just really don't get into today's comedy. We still love the old comedy, the I Love Lucy, the Honeymooners, those kinds of shows that just were so good. But there's some good books to read that make you laugh. People, because they know that I like and enjoy laughter, they send me jokes all the time. Sometimes I'm cracking up and Pap says, "What's that all about?" Well, you just have to learn to laugh. That's the way I grew up. My dad was a joker and a storyteller, and so to me, it's part of my life. For some people, it's not.
Right.
And so it's something that you have to practice, that you have to develop. Hey, I still read the Reader's Digest when it comes out, and my favorite sections are humor in uniform, laughter is the best medicine, life in the United States. Those kinds of, I just always look for the jokes because it makes me feel good. And by the way, that laughing is good exercise.
Is it?
It burns calories, yes. And if you're having a heart attack, laugh because you're about to die anyways.
If it burns calories, then I should be really skinny because you keep me laughing. Look at you.
See? That's what I mean. I have to laugh.
Well, I don't know about burning a lot of
calories. Bananas and donuts, a balanced meal. Thank you. Debbie also agrees with me, evidently.
Debbie's not helping me either. Okay, and the last thing we want to leave you with is ask each other in the family what they need. What would happen if in the morning when you got up, if you went to someone in your family and you said, "What can I do to make your day easier today?" What do you need? What do you need from me? What kind of support do you need? Can you imagine that one question right there could change the whole day for both of you?
Yeah.
The person who asked it and the person that you ask it to.
Yeah, so you're not so self-centered.
Yeah.
That's the point, that you take your selfish hat off and think, what could I do for you? How could I be of service to you? How could I make your life better? How can I make you happy? Just give me your ideas. And I may not be able to do them all, but maybe at least if you tell me what's going on, I can do something. So that's putting yourself again in the service of others.
That's right.
So listen, cut each other some slack, be flexible, make each other laugh, and ask. Basically put yourself at their service. Ask them, what can I do for you? So they're great ideas and simple ideas. You don't have to work really hard at any of these. See how you can put any of them into practice. If you just did one, I think it would make a difference in your relationship.
That's right. That's right.
Well, good. Hey, thank you so much for spending the time with us. We always wondered if anybody's actually going to spend time with us, but I'm glad the Carol Napier family did. So at least we had family members.
Well, and we have friends right now on from Singapore, Philippines, Ecuador,
and of course from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nevada, Pennsylvania,
that's right,
Carolina,
and our neighbor right down the street.
I'm telling you, this is becoming an international show.
So we're delighted that you took the time to spend a few minutes in our home tonight, and we pray that your day has been blessed, and that as you go forward, you will really find yourself drawing closer together as a family.
It's also good for us, so we thank you for doing this for us, because again, we talk to each other all day, and then we listen on Zoom and all that, but this is an opportunity to also enjoy your company. So thank you for doing that for us. We intend to do it about every other week. We don't want to wear you out either. If you have questions, we ask you to continue to send them to us. Howie, I think it's Howie from Minnesota. Yes, I think so. I was a pastor there in Minnesota of the Oromo Church. I love my Oromo family. So continue to join us every other week. We're going to try to have some special guests. In fact, I'm trying to get Shanti to join us for one of these Facebook Live, or maybe some other people that we know, so that you don't just have to listen to us. And if we can do that, I'm sure that you will appreciate it and enjoy it.
And actually, if you send us some comments in the comment question, what would you like to hear us talk about? Claudia and I can have some. Yeah, we can have some guests on, and keep in mind this is also our ministry, and this is the only way right now that we're able to serve, that we're able to continue our ministry, is via technology. So send us some comments about some topics and things that you'd like to hear us address.
And of course, this will be posted on our Facebook pages, so that if you think somebody else would benefit by watching it, just let them know.
Please share it.
Share it with others, or invite them to watch it, and hopefully others will receive some benefit as well. So have a wonderful night, and God bless you, and let's all pray together that this quarantine will be over soon, that the virus will be over soon, that few people will be affected by it, that those who are ill, we have some friends that we know of that are ill, will recover, and that none of us and none of our relatives will be affected by it. So God bless you, and have a wonderful night, or a wonderful day if you are on the other side of the world.
Yeah.